Dying to live, unveiling the divine blueprint. What if I told you that my principles and love for God killed me and brought me back to life? Lagos, a city known for its diversity and vibrancy, became the backdrop of a transformative journey that tested my principles and faith. I live alone in a two-bedroom flat in a remote place on the outskirts called Kola. I am a parent's only daughter, and though I was born with a silver spoon, I wasn't spoiled. My mom instilled in me the zeal for God and the discipline to live a principled life. I love God and have the passion to impact teenagers. I am also passionate about teaching them a culture of excellence. I've always been the one to turn heads when walking on the street. A perfect blend of my long, dark, curly hair with my ebony skin made it difficult to avoid male attention. Although I was so busy serving God and building my career, portfolio, and brand to care about other things. Finding love. The day I least expected, I met my soulmate. I was in 300 level. I'd gone to a boring lecture that lasted only 30 minutes. The lecturer had cut the lecture short after receiving an urgent call. I waited back to study the Bible with the HS, Holy Spirit, when I met a man that mirrored my love for God, Samuel. He had also waited to study the Bible. Though tempted to approach him first, the Holy Spirit cautioned me to be patient, that he would come to me. Samuel approached me, and after a few months of friendship, we started dating. 2 years later, I graduated from the best state university in Nigeria, Lautech. I graduated with a 4.26 CGPA. Beyond the excellent result, I built myself an impressive professional portfolio. A few months before my deployment for the compulsory 1-year National Youth Service Commission, I sought God concerning where He would have me serve and settle down. He gave me an answer, and I made plans. By divine providence, I got posted to serve in the state where tech boomed with so much glory, Lagos State. I came to Lagos prepared. I'd gotten a job offer from one of the tech companies I applied to while prepping for NYC, Raincoat Nigeria Limited. For starters, they offered me a monthly salary of 200,000 naira with other benefits. 4 months into my service year, I got my apartment. At Raincoat, I worked as a full staff and became a star data analyst. I became a team leader 6 months into my employment. My team was solely responsible for data analysis to inform better business decisions. Compromise. A couple of months later, I passed out from NYC. Samuel had stayed back in Ogbomoso for an assignment after we graduated. Even though we were far apart, he was always there for me. We broke up once after a misunderstanding, but came back stronger. On this fateful day, I woke up feeling strange and exhausted. I picked up my phone to check the time. It was 5 a.m. and I had 5 missed calls from Samuel. Although he had called me every morning to bless my day, he always called around 7 a.m. He knew I'd be prepared for work. By this time, I'd spent 2 years at Raincoat. The realization that something bad could have happened jerked me fully awake. I stood up from my bed as if stung by a scorpion and paced about my dimly lit, well-decorated, medium-sized bedroom as I rang Samuel's number. After the third attempt, he picked up. "Hello, Samuel." He answered from the other end. "Hey babe, I've been trying to call you." "Yes, I got 5 missed calls. What's up?" "Babe, I had a disturbing revelation." He paused and then continued. "Which project are you presently working on?" I answered surprised. Samuel knew about most of the projects I had worked on, but I hadn't told him about this one. "Babe, I'm sorry, I can't tell you." Aside from the fact that the project had a huge payment of 25 million naira for me, the project was a delicate one. I quickly thought of an excuse to give him. "The company specifically requested we keep it a secret," I said. "Babe, do something for me. run a background check, he said. What do you mean I run a background check? I asked puzzled. It's something about the project, babe. It's somehow. But babe, I was about to give another excuse when he cut me short by saying Psalms 12 verse 5. Someone had a way of subtly convincing me and praying me into the right path. This endeared him to me greatly. I kept working on the project, but I kept feeling uneasy. To put my mind at rest, I asked my boss again about the project and he told me it came from a company in partnership with the UN, United Nations. He explained that the goal was to combat human trafficking by targeting its most active market. I told Samuel, still yet to be convinced, we fasted and prayed about the project. On the third day, Sunday, we both got an instruction. Let her resign. Psalms 12 verse 6, Psalms 12 verse 5 and 6, which clearly stated that God would help me. And then Psalms 46 verse 10, where God backed the instructed up. I struggled with the instruction, but on Monday morning, I resigned. My boss refused to accept my resignation at first, but had no choice when he saw I was determined. Thereafter, I tried applying to different companies, all to no avail. I was losing faith. On one of those perilous days, my best friend Taiwo called. She promised to visit me after work. She was worried after she heard me sobbing over the phone. I met Taiwo in school. Taiwo was the life of the party. She was the Jaye side of me. As the looks, had the perfect blend of a slim stomach and a firm backside, which I lacked. She had always been a moral Christian, but was not the God-set type. She had worked at NYC deployment in Lagos, and fortunately, she got a spot in raincoat as we had both applied. Taiwo led the data gathering team. Around 6 p.m., Taiwo knocked on my door. I peeped through the peephole and saw her. I opened the door and she gave me a long, warm embrace. I offered her a seat, but she dragged me from the living room to my room. Even though the sweet smell of lavender was fresh in my room, I could barely perceive anything. Mucus had blocked my nose from carrying all day. Taiwo gasped upon entering my room. She saw mucus-filled tissues scattered across my room. My room was a mess, and it reflected my life. She began, flaming. You were saying something over the phone. She looked like someone trying to understand a mystery. You said God asked you to resign, she said. Yes, it did, I replied. Babe, you never tire for this kind of life. You don't understand that way. You can't I can't what? I can't understand what? Huh? She stood over me, her brows furrowed as though ready for war. I stared into the distant air and heaved. It's not that simple. You can't understand. Taiwo leaned closer to pat my hair. Flaming love. You know I can't wish you evil, she said rather calmly. I want the best for you. I know, babe. It's just tiring. I sniffled, fighting back my tears. My life is nothing outside of God. Okay, you know what? Meet me at the office tomorrow. She gazed into my eyes, checking for any reason before continuing. I promise, I'll get the boss to give you your job back. I stood for a moment, then paced about the room in light steps. It would be beautiful to get my job back, but I could almost hear the voice echoing somewhere down my being, the same voice that told me to resign and be still. Taiwo, I called. Are you sure about this? You trust me, right? Taiwo asked. I do. Taiwo gave me a mama bear hug before saying, you know I love you and nothing can change that. I found warmth in my friend's arms, and for a moment it felt like paradise. It seemed the end of all my troubles. The next day, I got my job back, thanks to Taiwo. I picked up the project I left unfinished and invested time in it. And it caused a strain on my relationship with Samuel. 2 months later, we finished the project. The following morning, I was on my way to work in the company provided Uber. The driver drove through the traffic and into an estate gate. I was feeling uneasy and then said, Oga abeg, I don't know this road though. Auntie, na shortcut. We go soon bust her for main road, he replied. With tension rising within me, I suddenly yelled, Oga, drop me here. I was in an unknown place but didn't give a damn. It was better to get lost than kidnapped. Ha, auntie, I know if you do that, he retorted. I realized what was happening. I tried opening the door and found out he had locked it. The car doors didn't have hinges on them, only the driver could open them from his door. A sudden rush of adrenaline hit me. I started hitting the door, screaming for help. He pulled out a gun and showed it to me, asking me to keep quiet. I placed my hands over my mouth as I wasn't ready to die. He stepped on the brake, pulled the chair, and the car came to a halt. He faced me, pointing the gun at my head. Mumu, now you sabi what kabi, he said. He laughed hysterically before continuing. See this estate there? Now our base be this. My hands were still on my mouth and I was shivering at this point. He told me about the company. He told me about how the company had taken the project. I just walked on from a trafficking syndicate. The trafficking syndicate wanted to know the most profitable market for their trade. I was beyond shocked and started crying profusely. Which kind crocodile tears you they shared, abeg? He paused a moment and then continued. See, your God don't pay me for your life. Yay! I shouted. I placed my hands on my head knowing there was no means of escape. Still shaking like a leaf, I felt a warm liquid slip through my lap. I had peed myself. Everybody go die! He roared and pulled the trigger. I jerked awake and felt my body frantically. It was a dream. Reawakening. I stood up from my bed and crashed on my knees, surrendering to God all over again. Taiwo had slept in my house the previous day, hoping she would go to work from my place. In the morning, I made breakfast and made Taiwo settle down in my small dining room to eat. Whilst Taiwo ate, I narrated the dream to her and told her I wouldn't be meeting her at the office later in the day. Taiwo eased and stood up and said, when you wake up from your gut set, call me. Taiwo left my house. Taiwo left both my house and our friendship angrily that morning. I haven't seen Taiwo since then. I confided in Samuel. He prayed a simple prayer for me. He received clarity on what to do. Indeed, clarity came with 2 instructions. Start a tech consultancy and a retreat for graduating teens, CI4E, creating impact for excellence. Today is the 2nd anniversary of my business. We've worked for 2 major clients, getting 20 million naira in profit. We recruited 20 employees, and we are well off on our way to becoming a unicorn. CI4E has impacted 50 teenagers and sponsored 2 exceptional teenagers on a scholarship. I am engaged to Samuel, and our wedding is in 2 months. My principles and love for God healed and brought me back to life.